I'm curious how much you guys know about the futures of your characters, and if you've heard of a word, Summerhall.
Yes. Yes, we have. I mean, I don't know about Peter, but I do know a bit about when Egg's trying to make dragons in the Summerhall, and then there's a huge fire. But we know from George. We don't
know if that is exactly what happened.
We know Dunk survives, but we don't know if Egg survives yet.
We don't know exactly what's happened, but let's just get this season 1 out of the way, and we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
You know, I gotta say, it's incredibly sad how this one slip-up is the most lore we've gotten from the books in almost 10 years. So if you come across some book fans who are freaking out over this, please understand it's a justified freak out. Thankfully, no baby oil is involved. But welcome, my friends, to another episode of What the Hell is Happening in This Fandom, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about this massive spoiler from actor Dexter Sol Ansell, who plays Egg, revealing that Duncan survives the tragedy at Summerhall, what it means for the series, and what George R. R. Martin's co-writer Elio Garcia has to say on the matter, because he was involved in writing some of this lore for the World Book, and what he has to say may interest some of you. But before we unpack all that, please be sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, yada yada, you know the drill. Let's get into it. So if you're a casual fan who only watches the show, what does this mean and should you care? Honestly, kind of not really. Summerhall happens approximately 50 years from Season 1 of Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it is, or was, the definitive end for our main characters, and most of their families. It's like how in the Star Wars prequel, you know most of the characters will die, just not the intricate details of how. But now we know that one of them survives. Again, if you're a casual viewer, this may not interest you, but I know that some of you guys who have never read the books do enjoy listening in on the book lore discussions, so for you guys, I'll do a quick too long didn't read. Summerhall is, as someone in my community described it, the Targaryen version of the Red Wedding, where Egg, now 59 years old, and King, dies during a massive fire when he tries to hatch dragon eggs. He perishes along with a good chunk of his family, including his lifelong best friend, Ser Duncan the Tall, or so we believed. Various texts describe Ser Duncan as being part of the deaths at Summerhall, including the World of Ice and Fire companion app seen here. For the longest time, the community believed that he was dead, until this spoiler dropped during the interview by Dexter. Now, you could say that maybe Duncan surviving is show only and that the books and shows are their own continuity, sure. That may be true, but he said this was told to him by George R. R. Martin himself, and we also know that George has told actors and actresses bits and pieces about their characters before for Game of Thrones to give them better insight into their character motivations and so forth, so this would track. And because it comes from George, that means the intent is possibly there for the books as well, and I'll touch on that in a minute. So why is this important for book fans? Well, what happened at Summerhall has been hinted at here and there in the books for the longest time. In Davos 3, Storm of Swords, we find out from Axel Florent that it's common knowledge that trying to resurrect dragons results in death and destruction, hinting that Summerhall should have been a lesson to us all. Later, in Daenerys 4, also Storm of Swords, we learn that her brother Rhaegar loved to go there, despite how sad the entire thing was to not only be spoken of, but also for the family as a whole. It wouldn't be later till Feast for Crows during Sam 4 that we would find out more information and how it was a massive fire that broke out which claimed the lives of Egg and his family. In the Kingbreaker chapter, we see some, like Barristan, view what happened that day as sorcery gone wrong. Now keep in mind that a lot of these quotes are from the mainline books from Storm, released in 2000, Feast in 2005, and Dance in 2011. It wouldn't be until the World of Ice and Fire in 2014 until we found out more information on this. Turns out Egg was obsessed with trying to bring back dragons to put down any idea of rebellion among the lords of Westeros who were rejecting his reforms to bring more rights and protections to the people, and so he wanted dragons to be able to keep them in line, and essentially make the country better for everyone. With all this in mind, you kind of get the idea why book fans would be very interested about Summerhall and what really happened there, because Egg apparently tried to hatch dragons, but something went wrong and most of his family and close friends died with him. Now here's where it gets a little spicy. There's an interesting theory around Summerhall in the fandom that Egg went so crazy with the idea of hatching dragons that he was preparing to sacrifice Daenerys' brother Rhaegar to do it. Rhaegar, of course, was born on that fateful day, which lends some idea to this theory. The theory also claims that Duncan, seeing how far his friend had fallen for the pursuit of dragons, killed him to prevent him from making such a terrible mistake. What's even more interesting is that the television show has also given us some more hints to this outcome. One example of this is, of course, the fortune teller scene in episode 3 about how all will rejoice in Egg's death at Summerhall. Now, you could say that this refers to the lords of Westeros being happy that this guy, who was trying to curb their power, were now happy that he's gone, or It could be that his close friends and family knew how crazy he was getting and are not happy the madness is over. In regards to his friend Ser Duncan, according to the World of Ice and Fire, he does something heroic during Summerhall, but we don't know exactly what that is, and the contents to that has been lost. Again, the idea is that Duncan might have killed Egg to stop him from doing whatever it is he was trying to do. A change in the television show somewhat confirms this when Dunk talks to Daeron about his dragon dreams. In the original Hedge Knight story, written in 1998, Daeron says, "I dreamed of you," said the prince. "You said that at the inn." "Did I? Well, it's so. My dreams are not like yours, Ser Duncan. Mine are true. They frighten me. You frighten me. I dreamed of you and a dead dragon, you see. A great beast, huge, with wings so large they could cover this meadow. It had fallen on top of you, but you were alive and the dragon was dead. Did I kill it? That I could not say, but you were there, and so was the dragon." Now, the television show changed one major detail in this to include a fire in his dream. In episode 4, he said, "I have seen you, sir, and a fire and a dead dragon. A great beast with wings so large it could cover this meadow. It had fallen on top of you, but you were alive, and it was dead. Did I kill it?" Dunk says. "That I could not say." Now, in the original story, the dream likely meant that the dragon who dies while Duncan survives on the field was, well, I don't want to say who because that's a spoiler for the show, but in the scene for the television show where Daeron goes into it, it's possibly a reference to Summerhall and how Duncan may end up killing his lifelong friend who tries to bring back dragons. But again, why? Egg is a kind person. He wanted to bring about reforms for the small folk to make their lives better. And while that's true, perhaps something happens with Egg to where his obsession leads him down a dark path. And this is a conversation I want to revisit after the end of the first season to Night of the Seven Kingdoms in a couple of weeks, because there is a scene in the final episode that will make you want to come back to this video and want to revisit the conversation with me. But Ser Duncan, surviving, what does that mean? Well, I asked George R. R. Martin's friend and co-writer Elio Garcia his thoughts on the reveal, with Dexter giving out this spoiler, and this is what he had to say.
I was a bit surprised to wake up this morning with the news that Dexter had revealed that, but he's a kid. Actors don't seem to understand it, and he may have thought that this was a thing known to the readers and not to the general public. Peter's reaction is quite funny. He seems to have recognized that this was something that should not be said. Yeah, interesting, isn't it?
No, I agree. Peter Claffey's reaction to it is hilarious. It kind of reminds me of how Tom Holland spoils some Marvel stuff every now and then. But do you know if George knows where Dunk goes after Summerhall, or just that he survived?
No comment.
Okay. Do you think George has any plans to bring Dunk back for a future story after Summerhall? Maybe Wins or another Dunk and Egg story beyond Egg being there?
No comment.
See, I think the only thing Elio is really telling us here is that the people who believe Dunk is cold hands are sleeping very well tonight. But I'll take it. And thank you to Elio for that. Hopefully we can talk more Dunk and Egg when the season is over. But guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, all for the algorithm guides. You know the drill. And be sure to check in with us after the season is over. Once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.